What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I want to break down something with SPY, Tesla, and the overall markets. Let me just mention that I'm not a financial planner, and then don't forget to smash the like button. Anyways, let's talk about the market now. What's going on so far? So what's happening is there's a lot of buyers defending the market. We're starting to see SPY pushing very, very nicely to resistance, but we haven't been able to crack 555 quite yet. So we're still waiting to see how this is going to react. Now, there's a lot of chop right now because of the options chain. There's a lot of puts expiring. I went over this in the morning already. So that's the reason why the market's kind of choppy like this. We tend to see this on Fridays when lots of options expire. So it's going to likely remain this way. And then I do anticipate some manipulation during the last 10 minutes of the day. There might be some wild volatility. Besides that, there's not really a whole lot else that's going on. We're just waiting to see what the reaction is at this resistance. So I also want to note that for Monday, so for next week, there's not really much data coming out, especially in the morning. So you don't really have to worry about data if you're holding overnight. I do want to note that the news could be very important over the weekend, especially with a lot of global events. So we'll see how that affects the markets. But thus far, the market's still fighting at this resistance. So the last time SPY hit, okay, 555, we got this big rejection. So we're just testing that same level right here. Are we going to break it and go up to 556 and eventually much higher levels? So we have 556.5 and eventually 550. The 558's above that. So we have some tough resistance levels again and again approaching. Are we going to break resistance, or are we going to see a little pullback to form an inverse head and shoulders, or even just a minor little pullback at the very least? Honestly, guys, it depends. It depends on what they try to pull off. I have to wait and see on this. It's a little tricky to predict, and here's why it's hard to predict. Let me show you. When you go to the 5 minute time frame, look at how SPY has been moving today. It's very choppy. It's a Friday. It's very flat. So days like this could be tricky. As you can see, we pushed a little bit. Then once we hit resistance, we're just chopping, chopping, chopping all day. So we're waiting. We just have to wait and see what the move is. Unfortunately, I can't give you guys a super accurate assessment yet until I see how this develops. So I think this is a very important lesson, and sometimes you have to be very patient with trading in general. So in this case, we're just going to be patient and see if we break 555 to push up to 556 and 558, or if we get a rejection. And if we do reject, I'd be looking at 553.5 followed by 552. And then below that, we have that 550 area as support. The main support is 549.5. If we lose that, then yes, we could see a big drop in SPY, but we haven't lost that yet. There's no sign of us losing that yet, so I'm not really worried. We're just completely range bound. ES is doing the same thing. Now it's been approaching this resistance around 5580 to 5600. If that breaks, we could be going higher for about 5620. If not, if we don't break that, we're just going to continue to shuffle. That's all we're really doing right here. To turn bearish, you want to see us basically lose 55.25. If we lose that 55.20 area, I could be looking for a big dip all the way down to this imbalance. We're just stuck right now, so give the market some time. On SPX, we have resistance basically at 55.60. If we manage to break this, our next target is going to be around 55.80. And then if we fail to do so, we're just shuffling. That's all we're really doing right now. I'm going to have to wait and see how this develops. If we make a lower high, or if we make a higher low from here and then we continue higher, or if we just break out, it could go either way. We're waiting to see what the reaction is at resistance. Nvidia is doing the same thing. We're at resistance at 125. If that breaks, we're going to try to fill this gap all the way up towards the 126s, and eventually 129 becomes our target. If we reject and we don't break past 125, I'll be looking for a retest of about 121.5 next week, if not lower. Today we touched around 121.5 only to get bought back up. So there are buyers defending Nvidia still, but we're at resistance. We're just chopping. So that's the reason why we're just going to have to keep waiting. Let me elaborate on why that is. Let me just show you what I'm talking about. This is what Nvidia's chart looks like for today, guys. There's no direction. It's just it tried to push the resistance, and since then it's just been going back and forth and back and forth. So we're just going to wait and see. We're just within this range. So, give it some time, be patient. This is one of those days where you have to do that. Now, Tesla is different. I really like Tesla's setup. It got a nice pump today, only to slow down as the day went on. But when you zoom out, just like this, Tesla's looking quite nice. It looks good because we got a nice break from this accumulation, and we're seeing a lot of buyers defending. So we're making higher highs and higher lows. As long as we're above, I would say 210, we still favor upside, and we could easily see this thing going to the 220s. So great job from Tesla. For others out there like Bitcoin, We're pushing. We're going to be looking for 60,000 as resistance. If we break this, I'll be looking for 60,500. We look bullish. Tesla's looking more bullish overall in terms of its trend. By the way, when it comes to levels, 220 is the main resistance. If that breaks, I'd be looking for basically 222, then eventually 225 and 230. If we lose support at 215, look for 212, followed by 210. As of right now, we favor upside. We look like we have a nice accumulation here and wants to go higher. As long as there's no bad news over the weekend, we favor upside. QQQ has 475 as resistance. If that breaks, this is going to go higher, all the way up towards the 480 area. If not, we're going to be looking at 472 as our next potential target down here. And if that does not hold up, there's a risk of us coming all the way back down to 470 and then 464. We're still holding up. We're at resistance, so give it some time just to see what the reaction is. Same thing with Aapl. We're in the 225 to 226 area. We still haven't broken our key resistance yet. If we do break it, and this is showing a lot of strength right now, we could be looking for basically 227.5, then eventually almost 230 if we break those levels. And if we reject and lose 225, we could be dipping, so just give this some time. For Supermicro, we're trying to hold up very, very well. We're looking at 203 as our supports, 603 as support, excuse me. We also have resistance at 640, so whichever way we break will determine what the bigger move is. We do look more bullish nonetheless, making higher highs and higher lows, so we could be looking for a push. We'll see if that ends up being the case. The IWM also has resistance around this 214 area. If we break that, we'll be looking for the gap below 216. And our key support's at 209, so we'll give it some time. For Coinbase, we're trying to uptrend, look at 203 as resistance. If we break that, we could continue to bounce 213. And if we lose to 198, we turn back down. We still look bullish, though, into like the 210 area. For Amazon, we were trying to break this 178 resistance. We could have gone very close to 180 if that were to break, but now we're kind of struggling. We're seeing some buyers trying to defend 177, and then sellers are kind of like still stepping in. So it's a very, very big mix. There is a risk that this might dip towards 175 all over again. And then if that fails us, I'll be looking for 173.8, followed by 172. We'll see how well Amazon holds up. As of right now, it's just kind of stuck within a range. So give it the time it needs. For Meta, we're looking a little bit weaker right here. We have resistance at 530 and 534. We have support currently at 525. If we lose that, there's going to be a bigger dip all the way down to about 516. I see a risk of this touching 525 again. It looks a little bit weak to me. Microsoft's looking a little weak too. We're shuffling, but I do see a risk of us coming down to 415. Unless we hold above 420, the odds are still favoring 415. So I might see a little dip. And for Google, we did push to about 166. If we had broken that, 168 would come. Because we failed to do so, we're at risk of returning back down to 163.8. So not really much is going on with the markets. We're just kind of shuffling right now. If we don't break past those resistance levels, there could be a little dip at the end of the day. But that does not necessarily mean the market's going to crash next week or anything like that. That's not a guarantee. This could just be a small end of the day sell off with profit taking and also manipulation from market makers. So we'll see. I also want to just mention that we still have to wait and see what our reaction is going to be to some key levels. So just be very patient. Tesla is one of my favorites right now. It's looking very nice in terms of its setup. So next week it still looks very, very good heading into that. So we'll see how things go. With that being said, thank you for listening. Have a great day, guys. The market is continuing to shuffle. It could slow down a little bit. Looking at big tech, might see a little slowdown at the end of the day, but it might not be that big, so I don't expect it to be that crazy, and it doesn't guarantee anything for next week. We could still pump again next week. We'll just have to wait and see. So I'll give you guys another update later on. Until then, thank you for listening, and peace out.